I have a bad habit of not unmuting myself. I should stop that. Oh, howdy, howdy, everyone. How's everyone doing? I am doing all right. I have not quite a beer, Diet Coke. I usually when I sit down and talk about football, I grab a beer, but not tonight. Not tonight. I needed some caffeine. Oh gosh, I am excited about tonight. I am extremely excited about tonight. I'm going to do something that I probably won't do often. I'm going to talk about football for an entire stream. Now, I'll talk about football anytime, any day of the week, but I won't usually take up an entire stream about it. But I am in love with NFL football, as you can probably guess by my hat. But that's you know where I live, Midwest America. It's kind of part and parcel for everybody. You either grab a team or one's forced upon you, and can't really do much about it. So if you must know, I picked the Chiefs because until I was about 10 years old, I was what you would consider a bandwagon fan. And I guess, when you're that age, about 10 years old, everybody's kind of a bandwagon fan from what I've seen. I have a couple friends who have a couple kids that are like that'll just hop, skip, and jump to the next best team every single year, right? Like a couple of them are Eagles fans, a couple of them are Bears fans, which I never really got. I never really understood that one, but that's shout out UFL football. Yes, that is that I can never keep track of the sub leagues. I guess shouldn't call them sub leagues technically. How are you doing, DC Jones? You like football? You like football? Big, yeah. Like I was saying, I am. As far as nerd levels are concerned, writings here. NFL football is like right there, right? So I can be just as big of a nerd about specifically NFL football, though I do get pretty big about college. I haven't had a chance to start getting into UFL football. I can never keep those leagues straight in my mind. It was like XFL at one point, like British League or something like that. You'll cheer for the Packers if they're on. That's good. I like the Packers. They remind me a lot of the Chiefs of the NFC. Part of the reason, and I'm going to get into like the history of the NFL, like for my fandom, I was telling you, is like until I was about 10, I was a bandwagon fan, if you will. This was back in about 2005. I guess I was 10 in 2005. I'm 30 now. I'm old. And I guess so. It would have been probably not 10. It would probably have been about 12 or 13, right? About 2008 when I got my first Madden NFL football game. And I sat down and I had to pick my favorite team, and I didn't know who to pick. At one point, I was the Bears. At one point, I was the Eagles. Back and forth. Yeah, the USFL in the yeah, I got you. No, I went back and forth, and then I eventually landed on the Chiefs. One, because I was born in Kansas City, so I grew up in that area. Had a lot of Chiefs fans around me, so it was really easy to get into the Chiefs, right? But I also wanted more than that. I wanted more than just say, oh, I'm connected to the land, if you will, and I'm connected to the people around me. And the thing I latched onto weirdly is the same reason why I latched on the writing, is the history, right? I wanted to write about, historical history in the case of writing. For NFL football, it became how valuable, or I guess valuable might not be the right word, but like how strong is your history? And the Packers are one of those teams. The Bills are one of those teams. I'm sad to say it, but the Broncos are one of those teams, right? And like the ones you hate, the teams you hate are the ones that you hate because of their history, like the Cowboys and the 49ers and all of those guys. At least for me, right? I hate those teams. They have strong histories, but you can't deny that they have strong histories. And the Chiefs are on the top echelon of that, and not just because of winning, right? Because they have so much history that pertains to how the league works nowadays, to how the AFC became about, to the NFC like split. Like it used to just be the NFC teams. It wasn't just the AFC teams. It wasn't just the NFL. It used to be, well, technically it used to be the NFL, called the NFL, but it was all the NFC teams, right? And then, not Clark Hunt, Lamar Hunt, the owner of the Chiefs back in the day, did a whole bunch of stuff along with the Raiders owner, I forget his name, that basically brought the league together. It was the start of the Super Bowl, and now we have the NFL as we have it today. And that's what I latched onto as a Chiefs fan, or why I wanted to become a Chiefs fan, is because I saw that history and the classic uniforms. And yeah, they didn't have the most historical winning, because there's a lot of other teams that had that until, of course, the last 5 or 6 years. But I wanted a historical team to root for. It was definitely like something it was easy for me to latch on to with how much I love history in general. So, yeah. That's why I'm a Chiefs fan. But if you guys catch me on any of like biases, you might shout that out. But I'll try to catch myself. I pride myself on not being too biased. So, anyways, so I had a plan tonight, because I absolutely love the NFL draft, to do an NFL mock draft tonight. And I'm not just going to do one for the Chiefs. I'm going to do one for every single team in the first round. That way, I'm going to revisit it next Friday. I don't know if we'll, of course, we probably won't spend an entire stream on it, but I'm going to revisit it next Friday to see how many picks I got correct, see how smart I am. From what I understand, most people who do this kind of thing, when they go and predict the first entire round, I think the max is usually about 10 picks correct. It's what I see, 10 or so picks. And yeah, it's not one of those things that you would typically get a good grade on, if you will, if you're grading your picks in school. You're talking about Fs. Yeah. It's just the first round, so it's going to be it's probably going to be a couple hours, doing this. But I have a website set up here that I'll move on over to here in a second. But I'm hoping to get more than 10, so I can have bragging rights, if you will. But that's, from what I understand, the average. It's not good. People make fun of the experts, quote unquote, if you will, online all the time, that people listen to or read the writing online, and they may get 10 right. They're still probably better than most everybody else, because most of everybody else will get 3 right. So we'll see what happens on next Thursday, when the draft actually happens. But tonight, I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring, if you will, and Try and get more than that. That's my goal. Try to get more than 10. At the very least, I want to get the Chiefs picks right if I can. All right. So let's move over to the gaming scene. There we go. And the mock draft sim we're using tonight is Mock Draft Hero. I like this website because it's completely free. It runs no ads. And I can obviously set up the settings that I want here. But before we do that, I wanted to play some music for you guys tonight. Some easy, or maybe not easy. Oop. There we go. Play some rock for you guys. Kind of befitting. There we go. I hope you like Rock Jones. There we go. All right. Yeah, I hope you like Rock Jones. Sorry, I just spilled my coffee all over the place. Like I normally do, you know. Hey, don't knock Home Depot. Every red-blooded American loves Home Depot. If it gets too loud, let me know. Let me know. I'm trying to keep it low so you can still hear me talking. Anyway, so let's go ahead and set up our settings. I'm going to choose all teams here. There we go. We don't even need this on technically because I'll be making the picks in my own time. Good volume. Sweet. Sweet. One round. And yeah, we don't need anything else. So yeah, we're going to try and pick for every single team. And if you have any ideas along the way, let me know. Let me know. All right. So, first one's rather easy. If you followed along on any draft talk, the top pick here is usually Fernando Mendoza. I'm not going to spend too long on it. Usually it's because, you know, quarterback is the most valuable position in the sport. And Fernando Mendoza is the best quarterback, if you will. So I think that's rather an easy one. Somebody is offering a trade. The Jets are offering a trade for both firsts and a fourth. I don't think, yeah. It's obviously that they just pick Fernando Mendoza. Now, I have to be very careful when I'm picking these, right? Because I might make a pick based on what's smart. And that's not always the case, right? Sometimes GMs, and I bring this up on the Jets pick for exactly the reason you might think. Sometimes GMs are not smart. Teams are not smart, and they won't make the right decision. Now, if I'm the Jets, I would look to try and trade back here. Now, of course, it takes two to tango, and sometimes you don't get a second team to, you know, trade up for you this pick. But other than that, you're looking at one of these edges, Arvell Reese or David Bailey. And I do think they'll end up picking one of these edges if they can't end up trading back. Ever since the combine, David Bailey, I've been on that pick because he's the more physical of the two. And I think you can get more out of him in a long run. The issue is Arvell Reese doesn't have very much pass rush reps in college. David Bailey does. He's pretty much pure pass rusher, which is theoretically the second most important position in NFL. Which is, you know, first one is the quarterback. Obviously, the number two most important position in the NFL is who's going to kill the other quarterback. You know, who's rushing the other quarterback. And that'll be David Bailey for the Jets, I think. Let's check out these trades. Let's check out these trades. This is a good trade. Move back to 5. Pick up their second round this year. Second round 2 years in the future. And the 4th round this year. Interesting. That is interesting. Wow, that's a lot of picks too. Wow. Look at that trade. Round 1 pick this year. That's moving all the way back to pick 28. Have I seen any YouTube videos by Michael McKelvey? I don't usually care about football much, but his analysis videos pop up on my feed every once in a while. Listen. You know what? Actually, I'm going to write that down because I usually don't... Do you know what his specialty is? Let me write that down on my notes as something to go check out later. Michael McKelvey? So, when I'm not listening to podcast or when I'm not listening to audiobooks at work, because I do usually do writing stuff, right? I'm usually, if I'm not usually listening to that, I'm listening to podcasts, and it's usually NFL podcasts, and the theory of football and other sports are pretty interesting. That's pretty cool. Yeah. My big ones, I guess I could shout them out here. The big ones I listen to are, I keep wanting to say around the NFL. They're not around the NFL anymore. Let me pull them up here. Make sure I get their names right. The Heed the Call podcast, which is really, really popular. So me shouting them out really doesn't do anything for them. But the Heed the Call podcast is really, really good. Really, really fun. I sometimes wish they were more information driven, but at the same time, I feel like that would, encroach upon what their strengths are, which is just camaraderie and talking ball, which is exactly what they do. Fantastic podcast. The other ones I listen to is my KC centric podcast, which is KCSN. Has a bunch of stuff that I really like. Specifically, I follow Matt Verderam around a lot when I listen to his stuff. Hilarious. And he's a New Yorker that loves the Kansas City Chiefs. And I watch his stuff so much that, good Lord, I have to stop myself from taking New Yorkisms in my, saying New Yorkisms in my real life and say like, oh, no, that's too harsh. I can't say that to people at work. It becomes a problem. It becomes a problem. Oh gosh. But yeah, that's those are the ones I really typically watch. And New Heights, yes. Well, I occasionally listen to those. I find them to be. I love Travis. Yeah. God, I really wish like the world could get invited to that wedding. It'd be really fun to go to that wedding. But I do love Travis, but I don't watch that very often. I find it to be the last one I watched had so many ads with it, and like I just couldn't get through all of them. But yeah, those are the ones I will usually watch. So, all right, this is a lot of picks here. Sorry, excuse me. This is a lot to think about. I don't think you accept this one, even though it's a lot of picks, because that's all the way to 28. That's all the way to 28. That's ridiculous. I know what you mean. I picked up a slight Maryland accent from listening so much to certain podcasts. Yeah. And New Yorkers are... exceptional when it comes to this because they have that broad accent that is very abrasive, and they don't realize it a lot of times, but a lot and how aggressive they are in their statements. They think they're being friendly. In reality, they're really just taking it out on you. And yeah, it's hilarious on a podcast. I gotta have a filter at work. Anyways, I think they do pick David Bailey here. Moving all the way back here is, I don't think they can do that. Yeah, we'll do David Bailey. We'll do David Bailey. And this is where I think the draft really starts, right? Because I think the consensus first two picks is probably going to be these two. Barring anything fantastical or extravagant or world-ending, these two picks are probably going to happen. The Cardinals can go literally any direction. And I'm talking any direction. They've been mocked Maui Goa a lot. I like them for Sonny Styles, but they've also got Arvo Reese here on the board, right? Dang, these songs are bangers, aren't they? Yeah. Yeah, there's a number of picks that they can do here. Maui Goa, Styles, Reese. Check out these trades. Because the other thing they could do, if they want to take Maui Goa here, they could probably get him later. If they really, really want the tackle, they could probably trade out of this pick. Oh, gosh. Some of these trades are cracking me up. Holy cow. So the Seahawks want to give him 32, which is ridiculous. Just ridiculous. That's way too far. That's all the way down here. Oh, good Lord. 32? You know how much capital they'll have to get all the way up there? What does Seattle need all the way up at pick 3 to make this worth it? That's just not okay. Next year's first, this year's second, next year's second, and this year's third. They basically wouldn't have a day 1 or 2 pick, which is Thursday or Friday, which is the first round, second round, or third round, until they wouldn't have it. They wouldn't have a day 1 or day 2 pick until next 2 years down the road. That's so dumb. That's so dumb. No, so this is also where I bring up another little tidbit me and my friends talk about when we're talking about football a lot, is certain teams have names that you can just see on the back of their jerseys, right? Like, what's a good example of this? This, like, Jones, right? Chris Jones plays for Kansas City Chiefs. If another NFL draftee comes into the draft and has the last name of Jones, I can see his name on the back of a jersey. That's a bad example because, like, that's a lot of times there's not a real reason why we like the names for those teams, but they just work with those teams, right? And I know that's a little bit of vibes based, but I sometimes make decisions that way. For me, the reason why I bring this up, Sonny Styles here screams Arizona. And part of it is I really like the guy name of Sonny in Arizona. That's That's got to be like a thing, right? Sonny Styles in Arizona and Phoenix. I really like that pick. Now, yeah, so Sonny Styles has the brother that's also a safety, Lorenzo Styles, in the back end of this draft, and my dad really loves him as a prospect. Um, he's probably just gonna be a special teamer, but he might be a damn good special teamer. He might be really, really good. But yeah, uh, I just like the idea of Sonny Styles as a Cardinal. I don't know why. It's just very vibes based to me. He just seems Cardinals-y a little bit. And I just see his name on the back of a Cardinals jersey. I can kind of see Maui Oga too. And that's probably the the guy that's mocked to them the most. And I can definitely see Maui Goa. They need a tackle. They need a tackle. But also Styles, right? And I know Reese is on the board. I just can't. The reason why I bring that vibes thing up as well is I just can't really see Arvell Reese in a Cardinals jersey. Um, it's just I don't know. It doesn't feel right to me. It doesn't feel right to me. So yeah, I think it's either one of these two. I didn't really like any of the trades, nor did I think they were going to actually happen. There's no way Seattle trades up to 3. If I was the Cardinals, I would take this in a heartbeat. That is so many picks. That is ridiculous. But Seattle's not going to offer that. That's ridiculous. Again, this is so many picks. Like none of these teams are going to get all the way up to 3. So we're just going to stay here, I think. And I really do think they take Sonny Styles. I'm just going to I hope they I don't hope that they do, because I really would like to pick Sonny Styles as a Chiefs fan down here at 9. That's what I would hope that Sonny Styles can get to. But I don't think he does. I don't think he does. I think he's probably the best player in this draft, to be honest. So, Sonny Styles to the Cardinals. And then this one's fun. This one's fun. I bring up another thing with the Titans. Is a lot of times fans of teams have their fingers on the pulse of their teams much better than any national, pundit, if you will, a talking head. A lot of them don't understand. Like they do a brief overview of what's on the depth chart, what's the tendencies of the coaching staff and the GM, and they'll like pick a logical choice, which is not exactly wrong. Not exactly wrong with a lot of cases. In this case, I've seen Titans fans, basically shouting for Jeremiah Love. And I've seen so many times fans call their number. Like the Chiefs did it last year because people didn't know if we were going to take Josh Simmons, 32 overall, or I guess they were 31 at the back end of the first round, right? People weren't sure that was going to happen. And a lot of talking heads were like, no, there's no way. They're not going to take a tackle. They're probably going to pick something else, maybe a wide receiver. And then it gets down there, and every fan is just slamming their hand on the table, just like, give us Josh Simmons. And we end up taking Josh Simmons. And fans oftentimes just know what the team's going to do. And I've seen Jets fans over the moon about Jeremiah Love. So I think that happens. I really do. I think that happens. All right. Giants. So I have heard interviews of Giants coaches talking about Caleb Downs quite a bit. I'm not sure if that's a smokescreen or not. Caleb Downs, if you were to ask draft evaluators who the best player is in this draft, regardless of position, regardless of like how much impact they have on the field. Caleb Downs is it. Again, though, he's a safety, so it's really hard to pin down where he's going to go in the draft because safeties are very undervalued, in my opinion. If I was a GM, I wouldn't care. I've seen safeties single-handedly lift defenses out of the mud. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen him single-handedly lift defenses out of the mud. I just don't know where, like, how high they're going to go. They usually don't go high this high at all. In fact, a little research tidbit we can do. When was the last time a safety went in the top 5? Oh, I should have known that. Eric Berry went 5 overall to the Chiefs. I 100% should have known that. 100% should have known that. But that was 2010. So we're talking 16 years since the safety's gone in the top 5. It would be in the same exact spot. And the Giants coaching staff, John Harbaugh, usually knows what he's talking about. Really loves Caleb Downs. I don't think they would lie about that. I do think they could use it as a red herring to really get the guy they want, though. So, there's a number of guys that they could pick here. See what the trades are. They could move back to 12 and 20. Okay. So, again, another draft day trade that I really don't think happens because I don't think Dallas would want to trade with the Giants or Giants would want to trade with Dallas. One or the other. They're both in the same division and they basically want to kill each other. But that is an incredibly valuable pick. Sorry. That's what I get for drinking soda on the podcast. Burping to the mic all the time. Wow, the Seahawks are trying to trade up again too. That's really interesting. I wonder what Seattle wants that badly. Oh gosh. I do think you will probably see a trade in the top 5 somewhere. That usually does happen almost every year, at least in the top 10 every year, right? And I think you'll probably see. I was bringing this up. This might explain it better. Let me pull up most trades in a NFL draft. So 2022 had 18 first-round picks, which means 9-ish, maybe 7, depending on how many picks, first-round picks were included. Around there, 7 to 9 trades in the first round. Right? Last year had 3, I think, if I remember right. So you're looking for somewhere in between that, and 3 is extremely low. Because I think last year was the lowest number it had been in 10 years. So you're looking for some number in between that of draft day trades. Or at least picks that aren't the team's normal ones. Which means you're looking for about 18 picks or so, or up to. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 already that are not their own team's picks. They've already been traded. So that would put us on the bare minimum mark. I guess technically no more trades could happen, but multiple GMs have said there's probably going to be a lot of trades in this draft. I think this is probably the first spot that we get the trade. So I'm going to accept that trade because I do think the Cowboys trade up. Sitting at 12 and 20 is not in Jerry Jones's blood. He's got to do something, right, to get the articles flowing. But I don't like that it's the Cowboys and Giants doing this, but I do think the Cowboys will do it with somebody. So I'll accept this. So we'll do that. And I can see the Cowboys. They definitely need an edge rusher. Arvell Reese. I think I like this. His comp. Oops, sorry. His comp is actually Micah Parsons, which, Jones, you were saying that you really like the Packers, or you'll watch them when they're on at least. Yep, Micah Parsons. And I think he's going to undo a mistake in trading Micah Parsons. Yeah. And Arvell Reese is pretty much the same kind of class of dude. So trading up for Arvell Reese makes sense for a Jerry Jones thing. Again, it's not what I would do. I would love to pick at 12 and 20. You can get some really good guys at 12. So, yeah. But Arvell Reese. Yep. All right. Browns. The Browns are a very unique case here. And the reason being is they are so dead on the offensive line. It's not, and not even joking. I'll pull up the stat here again. Browns free agents. Who did they lose? I wanted to see who they lose. Not who they signed, who they lost. Maybe this will show me. No. Lost. Browns free agents. Okay. So they lost both a tackle, offensive line, and a guard, and they lost Jack Conklin and Cornelius Lucas. So both their tackles, and they lost Wyatt Teller, which is interior O-line, and so they basically have to replace practically their entire O-line, which they did somewhat in free agency, but they really, really need an offensive lineman. And this is where, once again, I bring up the fact that some GMs don't understand, like, hey, you need to be smart in this area. And I've also seen a lot of mocks mocking Carnell Tate to him, which is, it just blows my mind. It blows my mind. Like, how can you be... Carnell Tate is, yes, he might be the best wide receiver in the draft, but, like, who are you going to play on the offensive line? Like, who are you going to play on the offensive line? Now, if the Cardinals picked Francis Mauigoa here, I actually really liked, where is he? Spencer Fano for the spot, for the Browns. And I'll tell you why. I think Spencer Fano is the best offensive lineman pick in this draft. If he had about 2 more inches longer on his arms, he's a T-Rex boy. If he had 2 more inches on his arms, he'd probably be the best tackle prospect of the last 5 years, which is saying a lot because there've been some really good tackle prospects the last 5 years. He's that good. He's that athletic. The issue is his arms, right? And if you don't have long enough arms out there on the tackle, either one, right tackle or left tackle, you have to be damn near perfect in your footwork and how fast you get out there. Like, any mistake and you're dead. You're just dead on the spot, because you can't, like, reach around and, prevent people from getting around you. Fano is unique in that spot, though, because I think he can do it, but if you're a team that can't fit him on the interior part of your O-line, he's just a wasted pick, right? For the Chiefs, they pretty much, like, they need a right tackle. And if there was a surefire right tackle in this draft, they probably would pick one. But if they pick Fano and he doesn't work at right tackle, you just drafted a backup guard. And you obviously can't do that at 9. You just can't do that at 9. For the Browns, though, since they need an offensive lineman at every single spot on their offensive line, you can pick Fano and hope he works out at tackle. And if he doesn't, you still got a all-pro guard. You still got an all-pro guard, which is like you don't even shrug your shoulders at that. You're still over the moon. I think Fano's floor is Pro Bowl level guard, maybe a Pro Bowl level center, which is still really valuable in the league. So, unfortunately, Maui Goa is still available. And I think they would probably pick this. I think they would pick this. The reason being is because I think Maui Goa is more traditional tackle, if you will. He's much bigger. Like Fano is 311 pounds, Maui Goa is 329 pounds. So, God, it's hard to pick. And the other thing is you have to think about is, do the Browns make the smart choice and pick one of these guys? Because I think like they could be fine either way. If they pick Carnell Tate, man, I would be depressed as a Browns fan. I would just be depressed. Like, yes, Tate would be good, but like, you don't have a quarterback. You don't have an offensive line. Wide receivers only as valuable as, the rest of the offense. Like, it's wide receivers valuable when you're ready to go the rest of the way, right? When you're already making the playoffs and you have a strong run game, you have great offensive line, and you have a functional quarterback, right? And you're already, just clicking, right? But you need the next step. You need to be able to go deep, right? And you need explosives. That's when you get a wide receiver. And when you're talking about Super Bowl teams, they do consider wide receivers one of the most valuable positions on the board. But when you're trying to rebuild a team, wide receivers not valuable. Wide receivers not valuable at all. And Browns are perpetually in rebuild mode. And I think picking Carnell Tate this high is just a waste of a pick. Like, you might get 7 years out of him, and like he might move on after that. Like, he might be a second contract guy, but he might make a Pro Bowl 2 or 3 times because who's throwing him the ball? Shedeur Sanders? What? Oh God. This was a hard pick. Because I don't know what they're going to do. It's the Browns. Oh, you know what? Let's be smart. Let's just pretend we're smart for a little bit. Or just pretend. And then we're going to pick Maui Goa, I think. That's what the smart thing would do. The smart GM would do. Is build from the trenches outward. So you're talking about offense and defensive line. And then, like, lay the groundwork for, like, explosives later. So, we'll pretend we're smart. We'll pretend that they're smart. Yeah. Anyways. Oh, gosh. I don't know who Washington... So, this is the part where I need some checks on my bias. Because I really, really want Ruben Bain to last to the Chiefs. Right? We really need an edge rusher. And I think Ruben Bain would be perfect for our defensive coordinator system. But Washington makes sense a lot. So maybe they could go edge here. And I don't know. But they did just sign a free agent edge. What's his name? Let me... Edge free agents. Odafe Owe. They picked up Odafe Owe and paid him a god awful amount, right? Paid him a god awful amount. So they do have edge. They'd be picking up Ruben Bain to be the opposite side of the line. They could also this actually makes sense for them to go wide receiver here. They have a functional quarterback. It's hard to tell if he's going to come back and actually function because he was injured last year. So that's a different question. But they do have a franchise quarterback. So Carnell Tate does make a lot of sense here. And they do have another Ohio State receiver on their roster. They do like their Ohio State receivers. So that could be something worth taking. But I want to check my bias because I want to make sure I'm not just picking Carnell Tate because I don't want them to pick Ruben Bain. Oh gosh. I'm not sure there's anybody else here that they would go for. They could use a corner. They could use a corner. Oh, let's check out these trades. The Commanders or Saints. Wow. So they just want to swap picks with the Commanders and Saints, literally right next to each other. Obviously, if I'm Washington, I take this. Moving back one spot is nothing. But I wanted to check everything else out. A future first is nothing to snip at. I actually like future first a lot, but that's a whole other conversation. I'll revisit that another time. Moving back to 14. Ooh. That's a difficult one. Just for a second. And you don't even net an extra pick. Yeah, I don't like that one at all. I'll tell you what, though. This New Orleans one, moving back one spot for 2 extra picks, even if they're not top 100, is no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. I think we'll accept that. They put the Saints on the clock. Now, one thing I did want to check. I wanted to see the Saints depth chart. Right now. Not last year, right now. Okay. So yes, this is exactly... Oh, they're 3-4. Interesting. If you didn't know what that means they have 3 defensive linemen up front and 4 linebackers rather than the other way around, which I don't know what the ratio of the teams of 3-4s and 4-3s in the league are, but that's typically the 2 base defenses that you see is you have like huge guys up front that sucks up blocks so the linebackers can get to the quarterback and rush the quarterback that way, or you just have 4 guys up front that are pass rush specialists. And there's a bunch of different ways you could do that. So it's all about how do you get to the quarterback. So let me pull it up here. If you can see that. That seems really blurry on my screen. But this here is their defensive line class. Well, they're a 3-4-2. They do have Chase Young. So this is their pass rusher right here. Their other pass rusher would be Carl Granderson, which I have never heard his name in my life. That's... And these guys would be the big old boys that sucks up blocks for these guys to pass rush here. So that's how a 3-4 would work, whereas the other way around, like these guys would get closer to the line and just pass rush forward without anybody in front of him. This spot here could probably use a draft pick. I don't know if they're going to pick him here or later in the draft, since they already have a starter. Let's go back to our mock drafts. So Saints is also a difficult one to say. They could definitely use corner. Mansour Delane is an excellent corner. Press man corner, which I love those corners. And they're also another one that likes Ohio State wide receivers. So any one of these three. Ooh, this is harder than I thought it was going to be. This is going to be much harder than I thought it was going to be. It's these two picks, though, the Saints and the Washington, right before the Chiefs, that I am so worried about as a Chiefs fan, because either one of these could be Ruben Bain, and they're undoubtedly going to be guys that I would like the Chiefs draft if Ruben Bain isn't there, right? So, like, if Ruben Bain goes up here somewhere for whatever reason, and I'm looking at Carnell Tate's falling to the Chiefs, Caleb Downs is falling to the Chiefs, Mansour Delane is falling to the Chiefs, and yes, even if Fano is falling to the Chiefs, I would like drafting a tackle, but because our offensive line is okay. It's okay. Like, on the right side. It's excellent everywhere else. So, like, I don't necessarily want to tackle, but I'm talking about, like, all four of these guys could be falling to the Chiefs, right? And even if Ruben Bain gets picked up here, two of these guys are going to get sniped right here, and I'm just left with the dregs. I'm going to be depressed. So I really hope Ruben Bain falls. Really hope Ruben Bain falls, but he could go for either one of these spots, right? Because, like, look at the needs here for the Saints and the did I say? I think I said Redskins earlier. Commanders. Whoops. Edge here or edge here, right? Gosh, it's really hard to say. It's hard to say. I think, you know what? I'll tell you what, for the Saints, this is my rationale for them picking Carnell Tate. They're probably going to pick a quarterback next year. I think they, quote unquote, like their quarterback this year, Tyler Shuck, I think his name is. But I don't think they like him as a franchise quarterback. I think they like him as a stopgap. I don't think they truly like him. And especially if they are in a position to draft a quarterback next year and Tyler Shuck is still good, I think they'll end up trading Tyler Shuck rather than keep him around. And they'll want Carnell Tate as another weapon for the next quarterback going forward. Because Carnell Tate could be your wide receiver one for the next 10 years. And that's a really valuable team, or at least GMs see that as very valuable for a young quarterback. So that's my rationale for the Saints to pick Carnell Tate. Right. Also, he's just the top of the draft board. So we'll go with Carnell Tate. Washington. Unfortunately, I think this is Ruben Bain. I just can't. I can't see Caleb Downs going here. I can't really see Mansour Delane going here. Hope they fire Mahomes and pick up Rodgers. Hey, I take that personally. I take that personally. You can't have my Mahomes. You can't have my Mahomes. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately I think this is Ruben Bain. I can't justify anything else. Oh, this is so difficult. Yeah. I think if Carnell Tate was here, um don't Don't put that curse on me. Don't put that curse on me. Oh gosh. Reset my music here. My playlist ran out. I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and put Ruben Bain down. And we'll get to the Chiefs pick. And oh, you know what? Actually, you know what? We didn't check. Let's go ahead and undo. There's 3 trades. Maybe I can justify trade. Because I can definitely see these other guys picking somebody else. Like, Cincinnati needs secondary help. And it's 100% a Cincinnati thing to trade up ahead of the Chiefs. So, do I like this trade, though? Oh, this one's difficult. Go back to 21 for second and third round pick. Now, if I'm Washington and I have a bunch of holes to plug, I would 100% take this trade. That's a lot of top 100 picks. Rams would give up a second for this one. That's also something I could see the Rams doing, trading up ahead of the Chiefs. The Cincinnati one makes sense, though. A lot of sense. I just don't like the fact that they're not netting. Like, if I'm the Commanders, I don't like the fact that I'm not netting a pick for moving back. But it does make one of my 5th round pick much better, basically turning my 5th round pick into a 3rd round pick. So I could 100% see that. Let's go and do that. Let's make that trade and have them pick one of these secondary pieces. They really need safety help in the worst way. So if they trade up for Caleb Downs, that could leave Ruben Bain for the Chiefs. But I feel like I'm putting a square or a square peg in a round hole a little bit, trying to force Ruben Bain to the Chiefs. Slap me on the wrist a little bit. All right, let's go ahead and pick Ruben Bain. Or hold on, let's undo that. We had one trade offer. Though I think if Ruben Bain is on the table, you don't trade out, right? But we'll just check him. Move back 15 for round 3, picks number 77. Round 4, pick 116. This is also pretty tempting to take. 2 extra picks? Are you kidding me? And we can move back 2 spots. Interesting. For pick 94. That'd also be tempting. If the Chiefs look at this board and say, well, we like Ruben Bain, we like Delaney, and we like Fano. And we can get any one of these guys, even if 2 of them are picked at 11. You would theoretically say yes to that trade. But yeah, I'm not. Yeah, if Ruben Bain's on the board, it's got to be Ruben Bain. We'll take that. We're going to go ahead and take a break. So I will be right back. Give me about 2 or 3 minutes to get some water in me. All right, I'm back. Whew. Mm. All right, so make sure I'm not muted, since I have a bad habit of doing that. Mm. So we're at Washington, and Washington had originally the 8th pick, traded back. Oh, not even once, but twice. Net a bunch of extra picks, and wow, yeah, yeah. That I didn't realize I had them trade back twice, but I think that's. Do I actually think that's going to happen? Oh no. Yeah, I feel like we're really forcing that square peg through a round hole on this. All right. You know what we're going to do? I'm getting cold feet. This is just Ruben Bain. This has to be Ruben Bain, right? That has to be Ruben Bain. Yep. Which means the Chiefs are on the clock. And I can see them trading back if Ruben Bain's not on the clock or uh on the board. And I'm actually thinking, oh, this is pretty good. Oh, moving all the way to 31 is less good. We're gonna propose a trade, and I think it's actually, where is it at? Cowboys already traded up. They're obviously one of the trade candidates. Otherwise, they have 2 first-round picks. Um, the Rams, they don't have a second first-round pick, because they traded them to us. But they do typically like not making very many draft picks. They usually their quote, their GM quotes, "F them picks" is what he said. So, I like trading back with them, and them throwing in a 3rd-round pick. Maybe we can get a second. Maybe we can get a second if we throw in a 5th. No. Oh, ooh, that's close. Our 4th. I think I like that. No, I want to take one of these 5ths and make it into that. Maybe if we throw in, I don't like doing that. Wow. All right, it looks like it's just the 3rd rounder. Yep. I guess it doesn't matter for the tonight what the exact trade value is, because I think this is the most likely trade outcome. So we'll do that. They trade up to 9. Rams select. We're talking. They don't need corner anymore because they hijacked the entirety of Kansas City's corner group this past year. But I can see them selecting Mekhi Lemon. Lemon, they do need another wide receiver going forward because both of their wide receivers are on contract years. So I think Mekhi Lemon is an excellent pick here for them. And trading up for him makes sense, especially after Parnell Tate just went. So I think that's where we're gonna go. So we'll do that. Bengals, like I said, yeah, there was no reason for them to trade up for Caleb Downs. They'll pick Caleb Downs. Make me sad. Dolphins. This is another tricky spot because they literally just need everything, pretty much. I can see them going any of these picks. I like them for Fano because they're another one where you draft Fano, he can literally play anywhere on the line and he'll be a valuable pick for you. I also think wide receiver is not terrible either. Unfortunately for Jordan Tyson, he's injury prone, so I don't know. I don't know if he's exactly going to go very high in the draft. He might fall. He might be one of your tumble candidates where he might be this high in the draft board here, but he's probably going to get picked down here somewhere. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. But I do like Fano in this spot right here. So we'll do that. Giants. I think they are a very good corner candidate. They need secondary help in the worst way. In the worst way. Yeah. And there's not really anything else here for them to pick. I think that's... I guess they could go Jordan Tyson if they wanted to overlook his injury status. But I'm thinking Mansour Delane. They just got a new head coach. Getting a corner would really shape up their back end on the defense. So I think that's probably correct. We'll do that. And now we finally come to the Chiefs. I think this is actually probably Monroe Freeling still available. This is the part, like I said, that gets really difficult. Because I don't think they'll pick a tackle. I think they would... Maybe if they trade back, they might pick a tackle. But I think Jermon McCoy is too good of a product to pass up. He might actually be the best corner in the draft. The reason why he's going below Mansour Delane is because he sat out last year in college due to an ACL, and teams are worried about that a little bit. So I think we'll put them in a Kansas City uniform. I think we'll do that. All right, Ravens. Sadiq, I've seen a lot. I'm not sure about that. Now, I made a joke. I talk with one of my friends at work about this all the time. Dylan Thieneman to the Ravens is disgusting. It's disgustingly good. Matching him with now I can't think of his name. Let me pull it up here. Ravens safety. Kyle Hamilton. Yeah, if I could say his name. All right. Him and Kyle Hamilton would be nuts together. Would absolutely be nuts together. I think that would be. There's a term in video gaming and card gaming called win harder, where if you double down too much at a position of strength, at that point you're not exactly helping your team win or your game plan win. You're just making it win faster, and you don't necessarily care about that. You just want to win. So there's something to be said about that. However, having Dylan Thieneman and Kyle Hamilton in the same safety group would be disgusting. Would be downright inhumane. I could also see them going Keldrick Falk. They do need some edge. And I can see Falk in a Ravens jersey. That's a difficult one to think about, but I can see Falk in a Ravens jersey. I can also see Sadiq in a Ravens jersey. Interesting. Yeah. You know what? Let's go Keldrick Falk. I'm going to swing for the fences on this one. I think the Ravens reach for Keldrick Falk. Then we got the Buccaneers. Who can I see in a Bucks uniform? Who do the Bucks need? I don't know if they need a tackle. They do need pretty much secondary help, like all of it. Secondaries, corner or safety. So they could be the ones that go for Thieneman. They could also go tight end here for Sadiq. I don't think they'll go offensive line. I don't think they do that. Jordan Tyson would be good. But again, like I said, I don't know exactly where Tyson's going to go because, boy, his injury history is awful. His injury history is awful. So if you're eliminating offensive line, that's all three of these guys. It's a little early for Mesdor. That leaves us Jordan Tyson or Sadiq. Which mascot do I think is the most powerful? Oh, Titans. That's actually not really technically up for debate, but I guess we're having the debate, so it doesn't matter either way. But Titans, if you're going by the old Greek philosophy of like these are Titans, they were literally bigger and more dangerous and ate gods. So like, not really. There's not really anything that matches up to that, right? So Titans all the way. If you're going by the traditional giant, like, but you already have giants, right? Like giants, like they're not just Cyclops or giants or anything like that. Titans were literal gods, or greater the gods' parents, if you will, in ancient Greek. So I think you would have to go Titans, right? I don't think anything else. It would depend on how much of a charge the charger would be. It depends on how many watts the chargers are. Because if you're talking like some epic space race type charger that could like vaporize the entire solar systems, then we're talking. Then we're talking. But other than that, I think it's still Titans, right? God, that's a good question. That's such a good question. Yeah, I don't think anything else really. You know what? I'll give you a hot one. The Packers. Don't mess with the cheese. Listen. If you've been on a road trip with my mom that's just eaten a block of cheese from a gas station, you'd know how powerful it is. Sorry, Mom. How much authority do the Commanders have? Yeah, but does that make them powerful? Like, are you talking about power as in, like, Dragon Ball Z, their power levels over 9,000? Or are you talking about, like, what you're capable of doing? Because if you're talking about what you're capable of, shout out to Noodle's mom. Don't shout her out for that. Don't shout her out for that. She'll be knocking on my door in half an hour. She lives 6 hours away. But 1v okay, if it's a 1v1 fight, obviously not the Commanders. Right? But if you're going 1v1 fight, it'd have to be Titans. But if you're going for like, you know, the whole adage like knowledge is power or power is power, or in the case of the Commanders, you know, you control the power or something like that. Does that make you powerful? You said you're talking, you know, Commanders, chiefs, obviously, just leaders of men, if you will. Oh gosh. Now you got me thinking about this. I think the easy answer is Titans. The boring answer would be probably still Titans. Yeah. I don't know. Also depends on how big the jet is. 'Cause they make some pretty big ones nowadays. Anyways, let's get back to the draft. Buccaneers. Oh, I'll have to look up bracket makers because that's something we could definitely do one of these days. Um, but that's for another day. But that's a fun idea. That's a fun idea. Anyways, Buccaneers. Like I said, I don't like them for offensive line. It's either Sadiq or Tyson for me. They like their offensive firepower, so I'm thinking I'm gonna go Sadiq. I think Sadiq is probably correct for them. Then you have the Jets again. Who did we have them pick? David Bailey. So they went edge. They do need another wide receiver. Jordan Tyson sitting there. They don't need offensive line. There's no corners available. And I don't think they would want to go safety. That just doesn't seem... Well, maybe they have a defensive head coach. A defensive style head coach. So maybe they lean on that. They already drafted an edge, so they're not going Messidor. They could go Thieneman, though. Yeah, let's go Thieneman. That just seems right to me. All right, Lions. They could... Okay, if Monroe Freeling makes it all the way down to the Lions at 17, they're picking Monroe Freeling. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. They desperately need offensive line help. Monroe Freeling's available, which might be the top offensive tackle on a lot of teams' boards. Yeah, they're taking Monroe Freeling. So we'll zoom right through that. I think typically Thieneman would be the pick here for the Vikings. A lot of people really like Thieneman for the Vikings. They could go guard here, Iowane. Especially since Freeling just went. Ooh. That's difficult to tell, too. What are all the trades here? Jets want to move back in? Jets, no. No, don't do that. Wow. I wouldn't accept that if I was the Vikings. That's an awful trade. That's an awful trade. What about the Cleveland pick? All the way back to 24? No. No, I wouldn't take that one either. Oh, gosh. A future first? If I'm the Vikings, I would accept that. If I was a fan of the Vikings, I'd be upset about that. I could definitely see them being upset about that. The whole delayed gratification thing. But a future first is pretty good. Especially you're talking about 18. It is the Rams though. So maybe not from the Rams. Maybe not from the Rams. I think they probably just pick and stay and pick. And I can definitely... The Vikings are a team that like this reach for guys, reach for need. And Emmanuel McNeil Warren is considered the next best safety. You know what? I like that one. I like that pick. If Thieneman isn't available, I'm thinking I'm gonna have trouble saying his name. Emmanuel McNeil Warren. Yeah, we're gonna do that. That'll make a lot of Vikings fans pissed off. All right. Carolina Panthers. They could also definitely go offensive line. I don't know if they go Iowa though. They probably go Proctor. And I can see Proctor in a Carolina jersey. Interesting. The other one I've seen a lot of, and I just had this epiphany earlier today, that I can see Casey Conception in a Carolina jersey. It's the exact kind of wide receiver they need. Speedster guy, an outside guy. I don't know. Is that need more viable to them, more important to them than offensive line? Because there's some good offensive line picks here. Because you got Iowane and Proctor. You got Blake Miller and Caleb Lomu, which might be the last 4 offensive line picks in the first round. If you want to get one, you got to get one now. Whereas you could probably get wide receiver later on in the draft. Not as good as Casey Conception, probably. I think I like Proctor here. Yeah. That also just feels right to me. Yep. All right, Giants. They're not trading back again. Let's do a rundown really quick. Let's see. So we have 1 trade, 2 trade, 3 trade. No, this is the same trade. No. Anyways, we're counting picks. 1 pick, 2 pick, 3 pick, 4 pick, 5 pick, 6 pick, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so we are nearing about the halfway point of trades. I think we have probably like 1 more trade allotted to us to reach the average. So I don't think the Giants are going to do it. But we definitely need to think about it going into the back half of the first round. As for the Giants, though, they do need interior O-line quite badly. So Iowane is probably correct. We'll have them take that. Steelers. Is this too early for Ty Simpson? I have a feeling Steelers fans would riot if they picked Ty Simpson this high. Oh, but they do need a QB quite badly. They don't need a wide receiver. They just traded for one. And I know it says it here, but I don't believe it. I do not believe it. They also don't need edge. They could go tackle. Blake Miller would be something for them, I think. Yeah. Yeah, we'll go Blake Miller. Chargers. I'd like to think I have a finger on the pulse of my rivals as much as my own team as well. So I would like to say I know what the Chargers are going to pick in this instance. I think they do pick Messidor. He's the exact kind of person they would pick. I can also see him in a Chargers jersey. None of the wide receivers here would fancy them. And it's not like they really actually need a wide receiver anyways. I don't know. Avion Terrell would also be pretty good for them. Let's go and give him Messidor. And then the Eagles. This is when... Okay. This is when things get hot. Because do the Eagles trade AJ Brown here? Because that's a draft day trade waiting to happen. Because AJ Brown doesn't want to be there, and I guess they wouldn't trade it here. Would they trade AJ Brown for another first round pick? Probably back in the later half of the draft. If that's the case, though, regardless if AJ Brown gets traded now or later for a future pick, they need to draft a wide receiver to replace him, which I think Omar Cooper Jr. is probably the best bet for them in that regard, to replace the same type of wide receiver. Yeah, let's go Omar Cooper. Which I think inadvertently, because the Browns do need a wide receiver, starts a wide receiver trend. Because I think the Browns go here, and I think they pick Casey Conception. Actually, you know what? They pick Jordan Tyson. Yeah, they'll be the ones to pick Jordan Tyson. And because the wide receivers start flying off the board, this is what happened a couple of years ago, and it pissed me off because the Chiefs weren't able to get a wide receiver because of it. I think somebody trades up to nab the next wide receiver because the Bears don't need it. Tennessee's not going to be the one that trades up. But I'm thinking the 49ers. Because if they want Casey Conception, which I can definitely see in a 49ers jersey, they probably are going to have to leapfrog the Bills for it. Because the Bills desperately need a wide receiver as well. So if we go here to the 49ers, where are you at? Up here. What would the 49ers need to give? Can they give a fourth? Yeah. That's smack dab in the middle. I'm going to just force the trade. Yeah. All right. So the 49ers trade with the Bears. That's our one trade left in the round. So we'll not really seek for any more trades, but I think we might talk about one down here. We'll get to that in a minute. But 49ers draft Casey Conception, trade up for that, and you have your wide receiver role, basically, just flowing off the board because people don't want to miss on their wide receivers. That leaves the Bills, either they draft Denzel Boston, which is a little bit lower down the board if they really, really want a wide receiver, or they draft Peter Woods, which would shore up their defensive line. They could also go Terrell because they always seem to need secondary help. I don't know. I don't know. Let's go Peter Woods. I feel like that seems right for them. All right. And then the Bears don't need a wide receiver. They do need an edge. TJ Parker seems right as well. He's a very stout dude. He reminds me a lot of Karlaftis. That's kind of the exact kind of guy they need, though, right? They need somebody who's not just going to pass rush, but stop the run quite well. That is their top need as well. Unless they really want a right tackle, they could go Caleb Lomu. Yeah, let's go. I don't know. What do you think about Terrell in a Bears jersey? I don't know. Yeah. I'll tell you what. They need all of these positions. We're gonna go T.J. Parker. I just see that in a Bears jersey. Like I said, they do need somebody who's going to come in and not just pass rush. They need somebody who's going to stop the run. And that makes so much... Yeah, you could see him in a Bears jersey. Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. We'll do that. Texans, again, need interior O-line, tackle basically every position of the O-line. Can 100% see Caleb Lomu in a Texans jersey. I think that's a slam dunk pick for them. We're going to do that. All right. This is a case of not wanting my bias to take over. I personally really, really freaking love Denzel Boston as a pick. He reminds me of two players. He reminds me of Ladd McConkey in the as far as route running is concerned and how well he's able to beat zone. But he's Ladd McConkey in I can't think of his name. I'm gonna have to look it up. Oh. Drake London. He is Ladd McConkey and Drake London's body. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be as good as either of those guys. I would hope he'd be at least as good as Ladd McConkey, because Ladd McConkey's a wide receiver too for the Chargers. Basically, if you can imagine it, he's an excellent zone beater with the body and potential to be able to match up against man defense excellently. Which is why I would really, really want the Chiefs to draft him. And if there's anything that I think that they can lean on when they pick him, it is that zone beating ability, because they really love their wide receivers and tight ends that can do that. A la Travis Kelce, which is excellent at beating zone. I think Denzel Boston could be, quote unquote, the heir apparent moving forward in that regard. Even though he's not a tight end, he could take that role from Travis Kelce. I think that would be such an excellent pick. I'm not sure the Chiefs do that, because they really, really like their speedster wide receivers, which would have been Casey Conception had he fallen to the Chiefs. Obviously, he's not here. I know for a fact they're not going to pick Cassius Howell. They would make an exception for arm length for Ruben Bain, because Ruben Bain is a violent dude, not off the field, on the field. He's like, his motor's insane. Cassius Howell has this even worse arm length, and he doesn't have the motor. I know for a fact they're not picking Cassius Howell. They could pick Caden McDonald. I can 100% see that. And if we're being realistic here, that's just who they're going to pick, right? They're not going to pick Denzel Boston. Even though I really, really, really... Cross your fingers. Cross your fingers. I really want them to pick Denzel Boston. They're not going to. It's going to be Caden McDonald. Which, by the way, I would also be happy with. I like Caden McDonald as a product, but yeah. Oh man, I just really would want Denzel Boston. We're gonna go ahead and give us Caden McDonald in that regard, because the goal is, at the end of the day, not just who I want to pick. We're trying to get more than 10 picks correct in this regard. So this is moving past the Chiefs pick here. This is the other spot that I'm thinking that trade happens. And the reason being is Ty Simpson is hanging out here. And he's a quarterback. And teams really, really value the fifth-year option that a first-rounder gets in their contracts for quarterbacks, to allow that extra time to evaluate whether or not a dude is a franchise guy or just a dude. So I can 100% see another team, somebody who's already picked probably, trading right back in, especially with the Dolphins who need more picks to get Ty Simpson to have that 5th year option to draft. It's something that's popular. We've seen it done time and time again. The one that pops to mind is Lamar Jackson. The Ravens traded into the back end of the first round to pick Lamar Jackson. I can 100% see somebody doing the same thing for Ty Simpson. The question is who? Now, there's a number of teams that need quarterback in the near future. Like LA, if they didn't make a trade already, would be earmarked for this because I'm not sure how long Stafford's going to be a QB for them. Who else would be in that list? The Browns. The Browns 100% need a quarterback. The Vikings could if they don't know how long what's his face is going to play for them. I can't remember his name. The guy that played for the Cardinals the last few years. The Lions. You know what? Let's see. Detroit is there. Wow. Man, I read that like a book. So they would move back. I'm not sure I like the trade, but I think they would have to add a little bit more than the 5th to make that justified for the Dolphins. Because that 2nd round pick is 20 picks back. They're moving back quite far. So they would have to add a little bit more than that 5th, I think. But regardless, I think Detroit would definitely be offering for this. And I could see this going down. They draft Ty Simpson, and they're going to sit Ty Simpson for 1 to 2 years right behind. Now I can't think of his name. Gosh. Man, I'm terrible with names, aren't I? Jared Goff. They're going to sit him behind Jared Goff for 1 to 2 years. So, I think that. I think I can see that happening. Anyways, Patriots. They need edges. I can see them going cash as hell. They have less of a propensity for long-armed guys than our defensive coordinator for the Chiefs does. So I can see Cassius Howell going to the Patriots. So we'll do that. And then the Seahawks. Oh, and they lost a lot of players at the back end, or at the end of the year last year when they won the Super Bowl. I can see them going a bunch of different ways. Wow. I'm thinking Terrell in this regard. Yeah, I'm thinking Terrell in this regard. They lost like half of their secondary to free agency, and Terrell would be a good start to rebuilding that. So we'll do that. And there we have it. There we have it. There's our first round that I'm going to hope that I have more than 10 picks correct in. So our first trade of the night is the Cowboys trading up for Arvo Reese. Then we have a bunch of small maneuvering right here. Some trading up for a wide receiver. Small, like, trade right here. I'm not sure that happens. If I had to pick 10 picks, let's just run through these really quick. Pick 10 that I'm extremely confident about. We have one here, one here. And honestly, I kind of feel confident about this one. So that's 3. Now, are we counting the do they have to pick in the exact spot, or is the team picking them good enough? Because I would argue the team picking them is good enough, but if that's cutting too many corners, maybe not. I kind of like Jeremiah Love as well. As you know what, I'm more sure about Jeremiah Love than I am about Sonny Styles. So we'll go these 3 here. Let me highlight. Can I highlight them? No, I can't. All right. So Mendoza, Bailey, and Love, I'm pretty confident on. So that's 3. 100% correct. Are you saying I'm cutting too many corners by that? I'll lump this Ty Simpson one in. The Lions trading in for Ty Simpson. That's something I hadn't thought about until now. But it makes so much sense. The whole list will be correct? So you're saying if I go to Vegas tomorrow and put money down on Caden McDonald to the Chiefs at 29, I'm going to make a lot of money? Oh, God, I would make a lot of money doing that. Yeah. Anyways. So, I'm confident about this one. 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 That's 4. I'm confident about this one here, the Monroe Freeling. So I think not only do I get the first Lions pick correct, I think I get the second Lions pick correct that doesn't exist yet. The one where they trade back into the first round. So I think I get both Lions picks correct. I think I get the Raiders pick correct, the Jets pick correct, and the Titans pick correct. And you know what? I'll throw in Carnell Tate's pick. The Saints really love their Ohio State wide receivers, though I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be pick 8. That I'm not sure I like that trade. I think Carnell Tate and Ruben Bain probably get picked here, even if it's back and forth, somewhere around here, right? I'm not sure about Mekhi Lemon to the Rams. My friend was really selling me on Sadiq to the Rams, but I didn't like Sadiq at 9, and the Rams theoretically in this mock traded up to 9 to get Mekhi Lemon, who is the best wide receiver on the board. So I could 100% see that. Yeah. So I'm hoping for 10, and I think I'm confident in about 5 to 7 of them. I'll tell you what, though. If the Chiefs trade back like they did in this draft, I'm 100% confident they're probably taking Jamad McCoy. Because Jamad McCoy is probably falling because of his injury history, and he might be a top 5 product in this draft class. And the only reason why he's slipping is because of the injuries. Yeah. Yeah. So I think I'm confident in those guys. All right. So let's save the image. Save as PDF. See how long it takes to save. There we go. I like that. All right. Make sure it's saved to my before I save it. No, it didn't save it. Did it save it up here? Yes, it did. Yes, okay, it did save it. All right, so we're good. So we can revisit that in a week's time, and see how good or bad I did. Um, I think I did all right. I think I did all right. At least like the top 10 is going to be somewhat close to the actual product. Somewhat close. Yeah. Anyways. All right. All right. So I was thinking that's probably all I was wanting to do today. Was just mess around with some football stuff. So, uh, let's go ahead and go back to the just talking screen. There you go. So, gosh, I love talking about football. I could do it all day, any day, and yeah. Um, Specifically Chiefs football, I can talk about for hours and not get bored, especially when you get down to the nitty gritty of how teams are made. And I've always considered GMs to be behind the desk. Yes, like you're talking about the front office guys at the team. I would love to do that. GMs are like they have the best jobs in the world. They'd be able to get to do this. Oh, you're talking about uh the guys on you listen to on Sunday morning before the game. I don't know if I'm that good. Those guys have been doing it for years though, so maybe I'm cut myself short. Um, but yeah, GMs, teams GMs, they have the best job in the world. They get to do this stuff on a regular basis, basically every day. I guess I imagine whatever desk I want to be behind. Yeah, I would want to do the GM job, 100%. It would be fantastic. It'd be so fun. Though I guess like you got to question like morally, you know, obviously it's a business, right? And it's pretty much a business first always. Um, but I wonder how bad I would feel, treating some of those players the way some of those GMs have to treat them. You know, the Chiefs traded Trent McDuffie this offseason, right? I would hate to be Brett Veach, who's the Chiefs GM, in that calling Trent McDuffie saying, "Hey, we traded you to the Rams. Good luck," right? I would I would hate to be like there for that. I would hate that aspect of the job, but being able to like mess around with a team in whichever way you see fit, such a cool job, right? Such a cool job. Like you'd get to watch film every single day, and you'd get to mix and match, and like it's all part of the competition. That's something fans tend to forget a lot of times is that the GM part is just as competitive as the players on the field, right? You want to prove every single year. Like there's GMs out there that want to prove every single year how good they are at their job. Like Howie Roseman for the Eagles loves rubbing it in people's faces every single year, right? Like how good he is at his job. He's very Philadelphian man, so very vibrato-ish, if you will. Um, there's GMs that will let you know that they're better than you at their job, and it's very competitive. Uh, Very competitive. From the top down, it's a sport. It's a competition. So, like, the fact that they get to be paid for it is it just astounds me. Anyways, uh, thank you for joining me. Thank you, Jones. Uh, thank you, Jones. Thank you, Jones. I don't know. I'd have to up my game, I think, if I was to be a GM. But yeah, I think we'll revisit this. Obviously, it probably won't be our entire stream for next Friday, but we can revisit it, see how many I got wrong, how many I got right. Hopefully, more than 10, more than 7. No, I'm not gonna change the number. More than 10. More than 10. Anyways, thank you for joining me, Jones. I really appreciate it. And anybody else out there that might see the VOD later, thank you all. I don't know who'll raid tonight. Not very many people stream mock drafts. So I think actually, if she's still streaming, I haven't had a chance. Let's pull it up here to resend the let me pull it up here. I haven't had a chance to resend the raid to Paisley that she has so kindly raided me twice now. So thank you guys for joining me, and I think that's who we're going to raid if she's still streaming. So stick around for that, and go enjoy her stream. Drop her a follow, Jones, if you don't already. I think you came over from one of her streams. So thank you. Yes. So we'll go and raid her. Again, thank you for stopping in.